Welcome back. I just wanted to take a quick look at my 1000 games with the black pieces. Not too long ago, I made a very similar video about the white pieces, and it only seemed fair to hit the black ones as well. In this one, I'm also going to take a look at the 1000th game. Here we go. As you can see here, I have added up the statistics. I won 514 of these games, and because the total is 1000, it makes it very easy to calculate the percentage. So I've won 51.4% of my games with the black pieces, which is pretty good. A lot of people, the more that they play, the less likely they are to have a 50% or higher win rate with the black pieces. I haven't gotten high enough in the ratings yet to expand my draw number. Usually the draw number takes away from that the higher you go. At least that's what it looks like to me statistically. I have lost 43.4% of my games with the black pieces, and I've drawn about 5%. I used to have more daily games than I did live games, but my live games have recently caught up. Now there's 504 games that are live. That's either Blitz or Rapid, and 496 games that were daily or correspondence, as they're sometimes called. As you can see, these are my win numbers with live and daily. I have won more live games, but I've also lost a couple of more live games, as you can see here, and I've drawn a little bit more when I play daily games. Those are the statistics I wanted to take a look at, and now let's take a look at the game. Okay, this is the game as it happened. It was a daily game, and it was part of a tournament, a daily or correspondence tournament on chess.com, where there are people with a wide range of ratings, and in this case, I happened to be paired with someone rated significantly below me, so I didn't expect there to be much trouble, and there wasn't. We played a Caro-Kann defense, but my opponent played what's known as the hillbilly attack, which isn't really good for white unless black doesn't know what they're doing. Often people who play this have had a decent win rate with it because they're playing people at their own level who later blunder or make a mistake or hang a piece later in the game. And what happened here was that my opponent did that. This part proceeded normally. We traded off the bishops. I chased out the knight, chased the knight around just a little bit more. Chased that knight too, and then I was able to fianchetto my bishop. Now here my opponent blundered, and the problem with that is that this knight doesn't really have anywhere good to go. If I take this pawn now, that knight's basically hanging. I didn't see that, and I went ahead and castled, which turned out to be my third best move, but I still have an advantage, and in fact had an advantage the rest of the game. And my opponent brought up another pawn to defend that, so I was able to take it. Now here their best move is actually to move that knight back to e2, or develop this bishop to protect it here. But instead they took back with the pawn, which further compounded. This was a blunder on top of the blunder of playing c4 in the first place. This of course just gives me the knight for free, and I'm pointing at the rook. They attempted to defend that by moving there, which just allows me to take the rook. But I didn't know that. I was worried that my queen would get trapped. But if I went there, they couldn't trap my queen because that bishop would be pinned. So I didn't realize that until just a little bit later, and I developed another piece. When they did that, I just moved my queen away. So as you can see, if I had taken the rook, I would have had an even greater advantage. I just missed it. My opponent did castle here, but for the rest of the game, I had at least a -5 advantage or so, and usually played one of my better moves on each turn. That's because once you're a whole piece ahead, it's a little bit easier to find better moves. I don't know if that was better than taking the pawn or not, but here I knew that my queen was guarding the rook, so if they took back, which actually was their best move, and they did, then I come in with a check. They have to move out of check. I'm able to put this knight here. I actually was hoping for one of those cool smothered mate things, where if my opponent just played a move like a3 here or something, and I was able to check, and then when they went back, I would play knight to h3, which would be a double check. So they'd have to go into the corner again, and then I would play queen to g1 check, where they would have to take it with the rook, and then I would put the knight over here, and that would be mate. That's kind of what I was hoping for. It's not what happened. My opponent just pushed the h-pawn, so I took their free knight because the h-pawn had been guarding the knight. And they just pushed that pawn for some reason. What they should have done, here I have a checkmating sequence no matter what, according to Stockfish. I don't know that I would have found it. Had they taken my knight, I honestly would have expected them to. I could have taken this pawn, for example, and been threatening their queen. I could have traded off the bishops since I'm already a piece ahead, but instead they did that, allowing mate in 1. That was my 1000th game with the black pieces, which turned out to be kind of a anti-climax, I guess is what you would call it. Because again, my opponent was rated lower than me. I don't know if they had the experience or not, but they clearly were not ready for this game. So that made me feel better because just a year ago, maybe a year and a few months ago, I was at that rating or in that rating range. I was below 1,000 points in most of my categories, in both daily and in rapid. So it makes me feel better that I've improved since then. But anyway, thank you for watching. I'm looking forward to the next 1,000 games, next 2,000 games, all the other milestones. And it sure is flattering that you guys are coming on that journey with me. So we'll see you next time.